A mesmerizing lap from Lando Norris sees him score pole position for Sunday's Mexico Grand Prix. Really spectacular stuff from Lando here today and from McLaren as a whole. We'll get to Oscar Piastri in just a minute. However, let's start with Norris just simply because of that mind-blowingly quick final Q3 push lap that he was able to get out. He said on team radio he didn't know where he did that lap or how he did that lap. And every person who I've spoken to at McLaren, they can confirm that he's still, right now, as of me recording this on Saturday evening, does not know how he was able to pull off such an incredible lap. Norris was telling us that he hasn't ran with a lap delta, which was something that I thought was actually really, really interesting to learn. He hasn't ran with a lap delta on his steering wheel since Monaco, so a lap delta being giving him basically his sector times for each part of the track, where he's up, where he's down, and it gives it to him in live time. So if he's on a straightaway, he can quickly look down to see if he's made improvements. If he's coming out of a corner and heading down a small straight, he can quickly look down to reference the delta to see if he's up or if he's down compared to what is one of his faster times. And he had said that he hasn't been using the delta on his steering wheel since Monaco, and I thought that was very impressive. He said that if he had the lap delta on his steering wheel during quali, he said the only thing he would be doing would be staring down at the steering wheel to see how his lap delta would be and not focusing and being in the moment and staying within the lap itself. And I think this is just another one of those things that, Lando's been working on with himself this season. And he's been really quick over the last few races. And I think he was hoping that all this hard work that he's been able to put in over the last few months would eventually start to pay off. And he could really start to crack through and make some progress or see that progress or see, the fruits of the labor start to pay off. If he wins tomorrow, so on Sunday, and Piastri finishes fifth or worse, and if my math is correct, Lando would take the lead in the Drivers' Championship standings. Norris is just 14 points back at the moment, and Andre Stella felt that for Lando that it was a very special lap from him. And in practice, he said he's been able to just really put together a really strong long-run pace throughout this entire weekend. I think as a team, they're really happy with where things have stood with Lando and how he's been able to extract performance from the car in such difficult conditions here at Mexico. Because since we are at altitude, the car becomes really tricky to drive. Like I'd explained in our driving video on the SDPN network and in our Thursday preview pod, essentially it feels like the car is literally floating through the high-speed sections. In the high-speed sections here, if you can get the grips with your car, you can really squeeze out a very, very, very good lap time. Charles Leclerc P2. Between Q2 and Q3, Leclerc had found about 7/10. And I'd asked him, where he was able to find that lap time. And he had told me that, essentially part of it boiled down to track improvements, but also from the fact that he was using a more worn out tire in Q2 compared to what he had in Q3. And he said that was probably more of the bigger difference. He said the temperatures also did cool down a bit. So that helped at the same time. He was a bit disappointed, though, because once he saw his first Q3 lap, he believed that he could possibly be on pole position here, and he was surprised to see where Lando found the lap time, and he wished he was P3 for the start, because he's not going to get a great slipstream heading down into turn one for the start of this one on Sunday. However, his teammate Lewis Hamilton, P3, probably will get a good slipstream heading down to turn one. That's Lewis's best qualifying of the season. He said it's been a hard slog to get himself up to P3 this year. He did talk about taking a step forward in Austin. He felt that in Austin he had made improvements. We did mention that on the show that we did post US Grand Prix. He felt he felt in in the second half of the season that he's actually taken a step, but he feels he's still not extracting the maximum from the car. And with the processes and things that he's been changing, he thinks it's starting to come together, but he feels that it will take a little bit of time. Heard from Fred Vasseur after this one as well. He said it was, the best of the season. Said they were there from the beginning of qualifying, and that if they get a good start tomorrow, who knows what's possible. But he felt that cooling and clean air are going to be very important for their strategy tomorrow. Both Ferraris are in a position where they can really throw a wrench into Lando Norris's plans. P4, George Russell ahead of Max. That's interesting. And one of the McLarens as well. For George, he felt that it was a decent result, but the three were out of reach for him. He feels race pace is good, but knows that turn one, lap one will be very important. He'll have to come down to the strategy, making sure that the strategy is going to be perfect so they can put pressure on one of the Ferraris. That's what he's hoping anyways, and that they can undercut one of the Ferraris on the Sunday. Did Max Verstappen sacrifice the one lap pace for the race pace, for the long run pace? Verstappen was P5 at the end of this one. The team tried a lot of different things to the car, and it looked like a handful, especially in the S's. If you go back and you watch Verstappen's onboard camera, you can just see how much he's on a knife's edge through the S's, and any little thing really was upsetting the car. Now, the different changes that they made to the car really affected it in certain parts of the track. They had trouble finding the grip in the car as well. So overnight, the team had made some pretty big changes to the car, and he felt that, they would have seen a difference, but unfortunately, they just didn't. So his race pace, well, it was really poor on Friday, and he didn't expect to be in the battle in the front. He thinks tomorrow will be a really tough day. He's at the office. So for Laurent Mekies, he had said that, the team didn't really manage to put the car in the sweet spot. They tried a lot of different things, but couldn't find a way to give Max a car that he could push with. Mekies felt that Norris and Ferraris are a little too fast for them. So yeah, could be a really challenging day for Max, and I think for Max, it's just trying to accumulate as many points as he can and try and keep Oscar Piastri behind you, because essentially at the end of the day, that's who everybody's chasing. P6 for Kimi Antonelli. He felt that there was a bit more left in the car. He had a scrappy Q1, had trouble finding his rhythm, he had said, and he felt that he didn't do a good enough job at the start of the session, so at the start of Q1, and put himself in a favorable, he put himself in an unfavorable, I can't talk today, unfavorable position to start. He felt that all three compounds for himself are available for him tomorrow, but the start's going to be super important for him to get away cleanly, because I think having Oscar Piastri behind him worries him a bit. Piastri is starting P7 because of what happened with Carlos Sainz. We'll get into that in a second, but Piastri P7, for Piastri, he felt like some of his laps, when they counted, he felt that they weren't bad, but the lap time wasn't echoing that. He said it was a frustrating session. He also had a power unit issue at one point. He had a small under delivery, he called it, on one of his laps, but it sounded like it was just for one of those laps. He had said everything felt normal with the car, and the lap time has just not been there for himself. I think he needs a really good start tomorrow. He needs to keep it clean. It could be difficult heading down towards turn one. For Andrea Stella, he had said that it was very unusual, the distance on the grid between Norris and Piastri. He felt that since the car slides so much here, so when going through the S's, the car is sliding a lot. He felt that maybe the car sliding is not something in particular that Oscar is relatively good at or strong at, and felt that Oscar needs to work on a bit of that in terms of the handling of the car through sections that slide a lot. So he wanted to review it a bit more. Stella did with Oscar before he really commented and went into full details. But Stella also said that these are things that Oscar's going to have to learn from, and reminded us all that he's just in year 3 of his F1 career, and it is a good point. I was wondering whether or not maybe the chassis may need to be changed for Oscar. I mean, this isn't something that is unheard of. Sometimes drivers, when they're struggling, do request to have a full chassis change because sometimes they believe that there is something wrong with the chassis, and sometimes it works out to be right. I know drivers who I've worked with in the past where we've changed over their chassis, and lo and behold, when the chassis gets examined, there's a small crack in it somewhere that causes a bit too much flex within the car itself. So it's interesting thing to keep an eye on for Oscar. I mean, last year he wasn't great in Austin. He wasn't great in Austin again this year. Then again, this year in Mexico wasn't great. Last year in Mexico wasn't great either. Hajar's P8, he was very happy with what the team did with the car to turn it around and get it going in the right direction. P9 for Ollie Behrman, he definitely maximized the package today. He was really happy with the lap in Q3. This upgrade they have on the car is really working well for them, and for him, I should say. He had a really good high fuel long runs yesterday, so I think tomorrow could score some really good points for the team. Yuki Tsunoda was P10, which brings us to P11, Esteban Ocon. Fine margins there for Esteban. He had the pace to get to Q3, but he wasn't happy with the lap because he was in the dirty air from Yuki and Charles. He said it wasn't their fault. It was just something that had happened, but he just said it was the wrong place, wrong time for him to be. He picked up the dirty air, and he lost the rear in the last sector, and he feels that the long runs for tomorrow should be pretty good. He felt positive with them after what had happened with Friday. And so those upgrades that Haas has brought to this car, seem to be really working for them. P12 for Carlos Sainz. Now, he qualified really well. P7, but with his 5-place grid penalty that he picked up in Austin, he had said that, the more he drives this car, the more comfortable he gets with the race car itself. So he's confident in getting points tomorrow. He has more than enough pace to get that done. But he felt that he may be limited by cooling because you can only push for 3 to 4 laps in dirty air before cooling really starts to affect the power unit. P13 for Nico Hulkenberg, P14 Fernando Alonso. Alonso said it's been a difficult weekend, and they're really underperforming here, especially with this car. This is a track they felt they were really going to struggle at, this track and also Vegas as well. He feels that the start will be the main opportunity to score any points if he's going to get some at all. So P15 for Liam Lawson, and into Q1, we saw the track really improve in Q1. There was a lot of track evolution. The likes of the Racing Bulls of Hajar, both Ocon and Behrman, they were able to put in some really good laps because of that track evolution. However, P16 for Gabriel Bortoleto didn't really work out well for him at all. P17, actually, shockingly, Alex Albon. And he felt like they were good laps that he was putting in, but really struggled with the feeling on the track with the low grip levels. And he had mentioned something on the radio about the brakes and asking if the brakes were working, because he said he was hitting the brakes as hard as they could. And that's something they are definitely going to have to investigate. P18, Pierre Gasly. P19, Lance Stroll. P20, Franco Colapinto. A really good, exciting qualifying session here on Saturday at the Mexico Grand Prix. Everybody was separated by just tenths of a second. It was really great stuff. It was fine margins for everyone to punch their way through into the next round of quali. So race tomorrow looks like it could be a one-stopper. I think for the race on Sunday, it's either going to go one of two ways. It's either going to go in the direction of it's going to be extremely exciting, and it's something you're going to want to tune in for, or it could go in the way of one stopper, and that's just all she wrote. I think the Ferraris, if they can throw a wrench into Lando's plans, then we could be in for a really great race, because I think the Ferraris could hold them up, close the pack up, and allow for better racing, because if Lando just rockets off into the sunset, could be hard for other drivers to find their way. But the opening lap to this one's going to be crucial. It's going to be crucial for a lot of drivers. I mean, Max Verstappen's definitely going to have to keep his nose clean. Same with Oscar as well. And I think if you're George Russell, if you're Lewis Hamilton, if you're Charles Leclerc, you really do have nothing to lose. So the championship contenders really do need to pay attention to those drivers who are in front of them. That's all I got for today. Sorry about the lack of video, everyone. We will get back to that on Sunday. Adam and I are going to try and record from the airport on Sunday. We'll see how that works out. But yeah, enjoy the race on Sunday, everybody. We'll talk to y'all later.